See a lot of raised hands. Now, this afternoon, before we get started on the webinar, I'd like to let you guys know we will be using our Raspberry Pis today. And it's okay if you do not know how to set up your Raspberry Pi, because we'll be doing that as a group. I had heard some concerns on Monday about people who did not think they had all the hardware components. I went ahead and passed your names along to Mr. Dubik, and he did let me know that we do not provide monitors, and so those things were hardware components that you all will need to get. That being said, he can offer some help in finding that, and I did pass those names along. So hopefully you or your parents have heard from him, and if not, he should be getting back to you very soon. Now, if you do not have all your pieces for your Pi, or you're waiting to hear back, or you're waiting to get one, that is a-okay. You can still watch along with us today, and you will have the recorded version to follow later on. In addition, hopefully, just depending on how quick we go, and I really shouldn't say hopefully, it's okay to go whatever speed we need to go. But we might be getting to Scratch today. So if you cannot use your Raspberry Pi, you are welcome to follow along with Scratch, the browser-based version of Scratch, which is available from any computer. Now I have a few questions here, so let me go ahead and check them. Someone asked me how I was doing, so thank you. That is very nice. Check and see who. Oop. Caitlin, thank you. I'm doing very well. Very good day today. Can we use our TV as a monitor today? Yes, you can use your TV as a monitor. Good question, Ella. All right, so it's 6:02. We'll give everybody a few more minutes to arrive and gather their Raspberry Pi bits and parts. Someone's letting me know they did get a monitor. It's my TV. Good, wonderful. That should be just fine. And again, can't do it because I have to move to my garage, but to use my TV. But you know what, Caitlin? It's up to you. You can move quickly to your garage and join us as we're putting together the TV, or as we're putting together the Pi, setting up our Pi. Or the other option would be for you to stay, where you are now and watch the recording after this, or sometime between now and Monday, and go at your own speed. That's up to you. All right. Caitlin, you're going to move to the garage? Go ahead. Caitlin, I'm sorry, I cannot hold on. You are welcome to join us right when you come back in, but just due to the fact we've got a big class, I can't stop the lecture while you move. I apologize. Well, we are going to get started probably around 6:05. I hope everybody else is doing well. As a brief reminder, as we're waiting. Hold on. Oh, okay. Thank you, Caitlin. Thank you for that clarification. Okay. There we go. As a brief kind of refresher of what we did Monday, we continued with the history of computing, right? And we took a look at some of the more modern pieces of computing. And who can tell me, we talked a lot about how, and this question's a little bit difficult, so let's see if I can phrase it in an easier way. Have we been moving, we have computer users and purchasers been moving more and more towards user-friendly products, or moving away from user-friendly products? Can anyone answer that question? Have we been moving closer, have our computers become easier to use or more difficult and challenging to use? Azelle, I'm going to call on you. Hello, Isel.
They've become easier to use.
Absolutely. Isel, can you name an example?
Um,
It's okay if not.
yes.
Thank you, Isel. That is correct, though. We have been moving towards easier. Can someone think about a device that might be really easy to use first time anyone picks it up? Sorry to put you on the spot, Isel. Holly, I'm gonna unmute you. Holly, what are you thinking?
An iPad?
Absolutely.
Or just normal tablet?
Yeah, tablet. There we go. That was actually the term I was looking for. Great, Holly. Yeah, so tablets have become very easy to use, and I kept talking about iPads because that Apple was always very, very vocal about the fact that they wanted to make their products incredibly easy to use. And I like this quote here, which I hadn't seen before, but not this quote, I should say, but a note by probably Mr. Dubik. And so you see this creative destruction. People buying laptops might not buy a desktop, so it kind of changes how the marketing goes. They're kind of eating at their own market. If that makes sense. Okay. And can someone tell me, answer this question here. What's the harm in user-friendly? I know, that's a big question. That's a hard question to answer. Let's see if anyone's typing an answer. Oh, yeah. Okay, I see a lot of questions here. Am I still there? Caitlin, I am still here. I hope you can hear me. Even babies can use it. Yeah, that is kind of a harm. I think I heard in England they put a restriction on how old a person needs to be in order to use a tablet. I heard that. I'm kind of speaking ad lib here. I don't know if there should be legislation or laws that restrict technology use. Maybe they just advised it. But I don't know how healthy it is for babies to use technology. I'm not sure. Okay. Can we watch the Kids React Minecraft videos again? Anna, very good reminder. Maybe we'll take a look at it at the end of class. Towards user-friendly smartphones. Okay, so yes. Celeste is just nailed it right on the head. We won't have many skills requiring tech, and I think maybe she means that we won't have as many tech savvy skills, right? Being able to use a computer, being really tech savvy in the sense that you know how to use a smart board, or you know how to use your smart tablet or your smartphone, is not the same thing as being a digitally literate person, right? A literate person can read or write, and we like to think about digital literacy in that same way, both reading and writing. So reading would be able to use a computer, to use a smartphone. Writing would be able to create content for. That would be like programming or web design. Being able to use those tech skills to create content. So good job, Celeste. It's back. Okay. Raise your hand if you can hear me right now, because people are saying it's going in and out. All right, sorry to say, guys, I think it may be on your end. Those of you who can't hear me, which is not super helpful. If you can't hear me, let me type to them real fast, but then we got to move on. The audio should be there for the video. Okay, so then we have, okay, good, it's back. We have the Raspberry Pi that comes in to try to answer that issue, so that it's a cheap computer, but it's getting to be a more and more powerful computer that allows people to experiment to code, especially our young people, you all wonderful young people, to be able to create with computers and really starting from the beginning to understand the computers better from kind of every phase, from how it loads the operating system and the desktop, etc., etc. So that's what we're doing, and we can jump off of history for today, and we're going to move on. Are we watching any videos today? Someone is asking. Yes, we are. We're about to watch a video right now. We're actually watching that video that we saw last class, but it was super laggy. It was not really working. So we're going to try it one more time today, and it's going to walk us through the different components of the Raspberry Pi. It was the funny British man who was having trouble with his jetpack. We're going to watch this one again, but pay special attention. And if you do have your Raspberry Pi tonight, what I want you to do is hold it in your hand, and as he talks about the different components, kind of touch or look at the component he's referring to. We're just familiarizing ourselves, and it's only a 2-minute, 30-second video.
So you've got your first Raspberry Pi, you lucky thing. But now what? Well, fear not, adventurers. I'm here to explain all. The Raspberry Pi is a tiny computer that has the ability to do loads of wonderful things. So, let's take a closer look. You'll probably want to use a mouse or a keyboard. That's what these USB ports are for.
Alright, so take a moment, look on your Pi, try to find the USB slots. You don't have to plug anything in yet, don't worry about it. And again, it's okay if you don't have a Pi, because you can go back and do this at your own speed with the recording. We are recording. But go a minute, try to find those. USB slots are used in all sorts of computer devices. So, you can think about how you store your files on a flash drive. A lot of times USB is used with mouse or keyboard on a regular desktop. You've got USB slots on your laptop.
Oh, wait! There's also an HDMI port for a display. You can use a monitor or even your family TV. And this is an Ethernet port, so you can connect to the internet. Your Raspberry Pi even has a connector for a special camera module. It can hook up to lots of other devices if you use a USB hub too. So now we've had a look around the Raspberry Pi, let's get set up. First, you're going to need a screen. This can be connected with an HDMI or analog cable depending on the kind of display you're using. Next, a USB mouse and keyboard. A micro USB power supply, like one you'd use to charge your mobile phone, and an Ethernet cable to get online. The operating system runs from a micro SD card, just like the one in your digital camera. You can download your operating system for free from the Raspberry Pi website. If you want to get started even quicker, you can buy a noob's card which comes preloaded with a choice of operating system for everyone, from beginners to experts. And there you have it. Your shiny new Raspberry Pi is ready for you to boot up and start doing fantastic things. Build an arcade machine. Make a robot. Create music. Fly a drone. Or send your Pi into space. So what are you waiting for? Go on. Make your Raspberry Pi do something truly amazing.
Hooray! Gave us some motivation there at the end. All right. So, this is going to be the plug that you need This is the power. And notice that on one end, you have the micro USB port. We're going to take a look at what that looks like. It's this small piece here. On the other end, we have this. This should look pretty familiar. Does anyone know what this side is called? What kind of connection this is? The mouse is pointing at it. This guy right here, anyone know what this is called? USB port. Yes, good. Okay, so you got the micro USB on this side, the I know that's confusing, but the regular USB port on this side, and this should be able to fit a phone charger, your laptop, whatever. This should be able to fit into there, and you can power your Pi that way, anything with a USB slot. Now, it's really important to remember that if you are powering your Raspberry Pi using a laptop, keep in mind the only thing the Raspberry Pi is using the laptop for is to get power. It's not drawing any of its computing power. It would be the same thing as plugging it into a wall outlet. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh no! Someone typed me a question and they said, so I can speak or something along those lines, and it accidentally got deleted. So please resend that question. It was just a moment ago. Alright, and this is the Raspberry Pi all plugged up, all together. So the way that we want, oh wow, they do not walk you through that again. Okay, so the way that you need to do this, you have your mouse and your keyboard plugged into the USB slot. You have, this would be sound, so like headphones. This is the HDMI cable that should go into your display. And then that's power. We want to do power last. So go ahead right now. We'll spend the next few minutes setting up your Pi. First step, easy step, mouse and keyboard. Right, those should plug right in. And those go into the USB slot, which I really wish we had a better picture of right now. These guys right here. Your mouse and keyboard plug in right here. Or in any of these 4 slots. Yes. Caitlin, I'm going to unmute you. Hello, Caitlin.
Yes.
Hi, Caitlin.
Oh, hi. See, I couldn't hear you when I put my earphones in, and it got confusing for some reason.
Yeah.
I could hear you when I closed my computer.
Mm-hmm.
When I came in to hear, I couldn't hear you.
Interesting. Caitlin, do you see where on your GoToWebinar control panel there's like an audio section?
Yes.
There's a little drop-down menu with an arrow. Oh. No, there's a part that says use, and it tells you what to use. Sometimes what can happen to me is that if I have headphones in, it has speakers selected. So instead of playing the music through, or playing the sound through the headphones, it tries to play them through the speakers, but can't. So make sure that might be an area that you want to check on next time you have that issue.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and then let's see some of these other questions. I have no extra monitor. Okay. I'm already in. I don't have a keyboard. All right. Which port is for sound? Okay. If you do not have a keyboard or a monitor, there is nothing I can do for you this evening. I have sent your names to Mr. Dubik. He cannot provide you a keyboard or a monitor, but he can help. You can send out some general information on where to get them. Do not worry if you do not have those things. You might not be able to do everything that we do today in webinar, but it is being recorded, so you will be able to do it at another time. Okay. So, mouse and keyboard get plugged in here. We're not going to worry about Ethernet connecting to the internet. This port is for sound. That's how you plug your headphones in if you want. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that today, but in the future, that's the headphone jack. The next big one is your HDMI connection here. And that's going to have to, if you're using a monitor or if you're using a TV, you're going to have to plug it into the Raspberry Pi and then plug it into that device as well. And that can be kind of tricky. Annika, speakers can work if you have your headphones plugged in, but you have to go into your laptop or your desktop and change this, force the sound to still come out of the speakers. Because your computer is smart and it will sense that you have speakers plugged in. I shouldn't say your computer is smart. The programmer who programmed this is smart. And so the computer will sense when it has headphones plugged in and automatically direct to the sound there. Yes, Anna, Goodwill would be a good place to get a monitor. Will we get an Ethernet plug? No, but one should have come with the router. If you have Wi-Fi in your house, there should be an Ethernet that comes with that automatically. Can I use a laptop for a keyboard? You cannot use a laptop for a keyboard. The reason being that piece of hardware is built into the laptop and there's no way to separate it. No easy ways to separate it. So no, you cannot use a laptop for a keyboard. You'll have to get a separate laptop. I mean, no, a separate keyboard, I misspoke there. You will have to get a separate keyboard. All right. So we have our USB, or our mouse and our keyboard plugged in, our headphones, and our monitor. Please raise your hand once you're ready to continue. That means that if you are not using your Raspberry Pi today, as in you cannot use your Raspberry Pi today, if you don't have the keyboard, etc., go ahead and raise your hand. And if you are doing this setup today, you can, and you are finished, raise your hand. The only way your hand should be down is if you need a little bit more time, which is okay. Again, keyboard and mouse, headphones, or speakers, if you have simple speakers, and then your monitor. All right, I see a lot of hands, but I'm still waiting on 4, which is okay. Okay, that's okay if you don't have your Raspberry Pi today. That's okay. A wireless plug-in for Wi-Fi came with my Pi. Yeah, that's great. That is good. Okay, sorry, Caitlin, that wasn't the problem. Someone's having a monitor issue, so they're trying to figure that out. Do not power up yet. We're going to wait for the rest of our classmates. Or you know what? Those of you who are still putting your Pis together, that's okay. If you're still doing, again, keyboard and mouse, headphones, HDMI, I'm going to go ahead and show you. You put your micro USB in here and plug in to power up. So go ahead and do that if you're finished. That way you can kind of look around, navigate your Pi, while the rest of the class can kind of catch up. Once you power up your Pi, right, this is what the final connection looks like. Make sure your monitor is turned on before you power your Pi up. That's a really important step. So your monitor is turned on before you power up your Pi. Okay, Maya, that's okay. Oh my gosh, Mira, you are absolutely correct. Oh my goodness gracious. Do not forget the SD card. Do not forget the SD card. So there's the SD card there. It plugs in a very specific way. Let's see if the video showed us the plug-in. I think we just saw it floating in the air. Let's see if there's a way to play this without the sound.
Around the Raspberry Pi.
Nope.
Let's get set up. First, you're going to need a screen. This one, depending on the kind of display you're using. Power supply, like what you use, Ethernet cable, together. Micro SD card, just like the one in your TikTok camera. You can download your operating system for free from the Raspberry Pi website. If you want to get started even quicker,
Don't worry about that step. So this is the card,
with a choice of
the SD card.
for everyone, from beginners to experts.
And he does not show us how to put it in, but your SD card is going to fit back here. There's not a good real picture of it. Right there you can see it, and it's going to slide in with those gold, with the kind of the gold bands up. Let's see if I can find a better picture of it. Oh my gosh. Who is my reminder there? Mira, thank you so much. There we go. Here we go. Here's a good picture of putting the SD card in. And you're going to want that put in before you add power. So if you already added power, go ahead and unplug that power source. Put your SD card in. It should fit very snugly in there. And then add power. Oh my goodness gracious. So many questions. Let me go through these. Oh my gosh, Anna's sister saw the Raspberry Pi and said, "That's not a computer." Well, in just a minute when she sees the operating system, you're gonna show her. What do we do once our Pi is on? Ella, you can explore the desktop a little bit, but we gotta wait for everyone else to catch up. Yes, go ahead. Everyone can put their hands down. you can't use your computer to connect Raspberry Pi. You need to connect your Raspberry Pi to a separate monitor. Let's see. So it should look something like this when you're done. Now this is the older Raspberry Pi, so your ports look a little different, but you can't just plug it into a regular computer. This is just a monitor, and the computer is the Pi itself. And it has power going to a power unit. It has the keyboard and the mouse, and then the HDMI plug-in to a monitor. And that can also be to a TV. Maya, the one for Windows to do HTML on a Windows computer is called Notepad. It does. It clicks when it's in. The SD card will click when it is in. Can't see it on this guy. Okay. Celeste, I do not know the answer for that, honestly. I do not know. Can I use a phone? No, you cannot use a phone. You can't. So a phone and a computer both have a computer inside them. You've got to use a monitor, just a plain monitor. So I can write down your name, taking a note here, and Mr. Dubik can be in contact and help you find the right components. Okay, we're going to move on. So would it appear to be working if the SD card was not in? Absolutely not. It would not appear to be working if the SD card was not in. And the reason for that is because if you remember in the video, what he just talked about is that you had to get that, that operating system put on it. So they have the Noobs card, and we're using the Raspbian operating system. So without the SD card, you don't have any sort of memory, and you don't have that operating system that launches. So that absolutely needs the SD card to work. So you have to have your keyboard and mouse plugged in, your monitor plugged in and your monitor on, and then add power. Okay guys, looking at the time, it's 6:33. We're going to go ahead and continue. Hopefully there will be some time at the end and I can answer questions. So if you don't have yours working, just kind of follow along for now. Don't stress. And you could always come back and watch the recording. Alright, so we're going to go through an introduction of the interface. So this is the desktop. Beautiful. But what do you do if you don't get to the desktop? What do you do if it's not working? Well, what we're going to run through is called troubleshooting. And troubleshooting is a systematic process. And by that I mean it's a process where we have a set plan to check through to check for some common problems. And it's systematic. We're going to go at it with a plan. This is not random guess and check. You're not just going to fiddle in a random order. When you're troubleshooting, you go through an ordered process. So with our Raspberry Pi, one of the things we can do is check the lights. If there are no lights that come on your Raspberry Pi, on the actual surface of it, here, I believe. It's a bit hard to tell from that image. You need to check the power cords. So if there are no lights that go to it at all, that means that there is no power going into the Raspberry Pi. So you would need to check this cord here and make sure this cord and your wall outlet are properly plugged in. Now the next step, let's say you have one red light, but that's all, and there's nothing that's coming up on your monitor. Well, that would be just the situation that Holly was describing, where everything was plugged in correctly, but the SD card was not all the way plugged in. So if you just see the red light, that means that power is going to the board, but you need to check that SD card, make sure it's plugged in all the way. The next step, if you have both red and green lights, that means your Raspberry Pi is up and running, and that you really should be seeing something on your monitor. So if you're not seeing something on your monitor, whether that be just a computer monitor or your TV, that means that there's something wrong with the monitor or TV or the cable running between the monitor and TV. And a really common problem is that the monitor was off when you turned on the Pi. And the reason that's an issue, if you remember from the video of the old enthusiastic British man, he talked about sending your Pi into space. And he was not making a joke or telling a story. You could do experiments where you send your Pi up on a rocket or on a big weather balloon, which is like this huge balloon that can go really, really high in the air. Oh, so that's why it's good that these Pis are only $35. And the way that you do that is you set your Pi up just like you have it set up now, with a monitor and a keyboard and a mouse, and you program it to take data, let's say. Maybe you add that camera that we saw in the video, and you program it to take pictures every 5 seconds. Then you can unplug your keyboard and your mouse and your monitor, and as long as there's still power going through the Pi, and there are ways to use something like a battery to power the Pi will still work, and it will execute the program where it takes a picture every 5 seconds. But there's no monitor attached to it anymore. It's still acting as a computer, and it's still executing the program, but there's no monitor. So that's why your Raspberry Pi, if it doesn't register that there is a monitor at first, as in if you plug in a monitor that is off, the Raspberry Pi won't think that there's a monitor connected. It will operate and it will function as though it was in a mode with no monitor, as though you were sending it up into space on a rocket to take pictures. Okay, so once you follow those steps, hopefully, maybe nothing happens on your screen, you don't see your desktop, go through these steps just to see if you can diagnose what the problem is. Alright, and again, if I know some people are having issues, and I can try to help you at the end, but I do want to get through this so that way, for those that are watching, you can go through the recording again, and we'll spend the last few minutes of class going through questions. Okay. So this is the desktop that should pop up with your Pi, and we're going to go through all of the icons that we get. The Debian reference is a good place to start. Once you have access to Wi-Fi using that Wi-Fi wireless plugin, or you use the Ethernet to directly connect to the internet. Oh my gosh, so many questions. We'll get to those in just a minute. You can go and to the Pi store, and if you have an Apple or a Mac computer, it's kind of like the App Store where you buy apps. Alright, it's pretty neat. Wolfram, Wolfram Alpha, is an amazing website that can help you. It's like a really, really, really sophisticated, powerful calculator. And you can mess around with it. You can learn things like the populations of different cities, and it can help you with your math homework. It's a great program if you want to take a look at it. That's it there. Oh, this first one pointed at the Debian reference, but really we were looking at the Pi store for that first guy. This is the Pi store. Again, misspoke there. The Debian reference is, let me look at this. Okay, there we go. The HTML was throwing me off here. The Debian reference is where you can look up commands that you can use in the LX terminal. And that's okay if you don't know what that means quite yet, because we're going to be exploring the terminal a little bit later. Mathematica, you can use with Wolfram Alpha. These things go together, so these icons are going to go together. And the Mathematica is going to be a lot simpler to use than this original Wolfram Alpha, which looks like that line-based, you know, when we watch the kids react to an old computer, that's what this kind of reminds me of. But the Mathematica is going to have, it's going to be a little bit more user-friendly. Idle. Someone is asking about Python. Okay. There's a million questions here. We are going through the icons one by one, so if you have a question, don't worry. Python is a really popular programming language. Very powerful. Really awesome. We're going to take a look at it. And IDLE is the Interactive Development Environment. That's what it stands for. Don't worry, there's not going to be a quiz on that. But it's actually how you type and type up your code. So somewhere else on your Raspberry Pi, somewhere else in your file manager, which is down here, you'll be able to see an icon that says Python on it. But you're actually not going to ever use that one. You use the IDLE, or the Interactive Development Environment. Because when you're using IDLE and you're typing code in Python, you're a developer. You're for code, so that's why. All right. We're not going to go through that. IDLE is just, IDLE 3 is a, sometimes we use IDLE, sometimes we use IDLE 3, and we will tell you when to use which. For example, we use IDLE, the older version, when we're coding into Minecraft. Terminal is this is like the line-based area that computers just used to look like before we had this beautiful desktop, and it's how you type commands into your computer. People still use terminal if you want, especially if you know a lot about computers. You might use this to figure out, maybe let's say your computer's not working, you can get a lot of information from this end to it, or you want to customize your computer in a certain way. If you've ever heard of the term overclocking, that's something that you can do in terminal. Alright. Once I get through the end of this desktop tour, I will take a look at these questions. Shut down, that should be pretty self-explanatory. That's how you shut your Pi down. Midori is the web browser. It's like the access to the internet, like Google Chrome or Safari would be. Wi-Fi config, if you have that Wi-Fi plugin, this is what you're going to use to connect to the network in your house. Python Games is just a special version of of Python that you can use with graphics as well. So normally in Python, it's just line-based. You would be able to create games, but the user would only be able to type to respond to them. They wouldn't actually be able to move an icon. You wouldn't be able to make a game like Pong or Flappy Bird or something like that. You would be able to make a game like a guess the number game or a joke generator, something where it's just text-based. But Python Games combines Python and graphics. And what's cool for you all right now is that in Python Games, you can go ahead and play any of these games, and they're pretty fun. The squirrel one is fun. Yeah, squirrel. I enjoy that one. And Scratch, and hopefully you guys should be familiar, or not all of you, but I know some of you are familiar with Scratch from Edmodo, which is great. We are going to start from the absolute beginning with Scratch. So don't worry if you've never used Scratch before. And if you have used Scratch before, it's good review and it's good practice. And we will be getting to some more advanced stuff. And there will be times when I tell the people with more experience, hey, try this out for a challenge. But you just got to bear with us as we go through the beginning. All right, now that we've gone through the desktop tour, I'm going to take a moment to look at some questions. Okay. Yes, if you played any of the old computer games from last week or from Monday, you couldn't use your mouse. That's true, and they were slow. SD cards can quote-unquote die. They use the same technology that like a flash drive uses, and that can get messed up just like your flash drive can get messed up. Also, you could step on it or crush it under a car, and that would also effectively kill, quote-unquote, your SD card. Can you send the mouse into space? Someone was asking when I talked about sending a pie into space on a rocket. Yes, you could send the mouse into space. That would be pretty heavy. I don't know why you would want to. Okay, so if someone has a great question about troubleshooting. They said, hey, I can see all of the lights, but I can also see the desktop. And that's good. When all of the lights are on and your desktop is on, everything is working perfectly. The lights are there so that if one thing is not working, you can look at the lights and see, okay, what is working? So if everything is working, all the lights should be on. What is Python? Python is a modern-day programming language. Can we change the background? Yes, you can, but not right now. What about mathematics? What about mathematics? Great question. Oh, do you mean Mathematica? I was really vague about that, but we can take a look and see an example. But just talking about the application briefly, it's hard to get a grasp on what that is. I can show you guys what Wolfram Alpha on the computer looks like. Very cool. So Wolfram Alpha, just that thing on your computer, it helps you with your math homework, but also, you can do a Wolfram problem generator. That means that you can give it a problem and it will give you other problems that you can do for practice. But also, so that's the calculating part, you can ask it questions like, how much should I tip on 159? How much does the earth weigh? How much does a penny weigh? How much can I drink? You can ask it so many different questions, which is really cool. How much rain falls in America? And Wolfram Alpha hopefully knows the answer to that question. I'm not quite sure. So, it's a little different on your Pis. It actually can do some really cool math modeling, like making things like graphs. Oh, it got confused by falls. I should have phrased the question better. So that's my bad. Um, but anyway, we're not going to spend too much time on this. All right, let's see. I can't see the Pi store. Oh dear, they may have... Pi store should be on your desktop. If not, your file manager is down in the bottom left corner over here. We haven't even gotten to that part today, but your Pi store should be there. It looked like the Raspberry was blowing up. Oh, I don't know what you're referring. Oh, Mathematica icon. Looks like the Raspberry is blowing up. That is unfortunate. Okay, someone said Minecraft can code. Well, Minecraft, and if you've used Scratch at all, you know this, any computer game is just codes that people put art to, like graphics. And so, and in the case of Minecraft, very, very simple graphics. So what Minecraft did, the people that work with Minecraft, is they made that code available to the public. First, they did it just with Raspberry Pi, but they also have done it now with the larger game. And Young Engineers of Today actually has a summer camp that I teach, where you go in and you change the code in Minecraft, and you can add things, like you can add your own swords. And you do that by going into the actual code of the game and physically adding your sword in. It's very neat. But what we're going to do with the Minecraft version on the Raspberry Pi, it's a little bit less powerful, and you can run Python commands in idle, and that will affect your Minecraft game. But it's not the same Minecraft you play on your computer because you don't have internet access. It's just a little bit different. How can I check Mathematica out? I know Wolfram Alpha and Mathematica, they don't do the same thing on your Raspberry Pi that I just showed you in the browser. Why I showed you on my computer is I wanted you to see how cool Wolfram Alpha and Mathematica can be. And a little bit later this semester, we're going to check out how to use these icons. But when you open them right now, it's not that impressive because they don't need the internet to work on your Raspberry Pi. The way that mine was able to look up what the weight of the Earth was by looking that up on the internet. Can we take that camp? Absolutely. I would love for you to take that camp. Can you show us the Pi Minecraft? I can show you guys the Pi Minecraft, but not today. It's already 6:53, and so we will see the Pi Minecraft, but not today. It is 6:53, Anna. I'm so sorry. We're not going to be able to get to the Kids React to Minecraft today, but I think it's a better idea if I watch it first anyway, just to make sure it's appropriate for our entire class. I can't imagine it wouldn't be, but I am going to take a look at it, and hopefully Monday we can see that. Maybe we can start class. I can get to class a little bit early, and we can watch it that way on Monday. Okay. All right. It's 6:54. Now, does anyone else have a question? Take a look at, make sure I didn't skip anyone. Leah, you said that you can't use your mouse. Did you try unplugging the USB and then plugging the USB mouse back in? It isn't working. Okay. That's not giving me a lot. I'm gonna unmute you, okay, Leah? Hi, Leah.
Yes.
So you got it working, your Raspberry Pi?
Yeah, I was working, but I don't know, it stopped.
Oh my gosh, okay. So that's good that you have the monitor all set up and everything. I'm very excited about that. I was getting a little worried. But so what you're telling me is you have the the mouse plugged into this port,
Yeah.
but it's not working. All right, I have some bad news for you. I think that means the mouse is not working, especially if it was working to begin with. Now the other thing you can try is try unplugging the mouse and plugging it into a different slot. And we can see if the USB slot itself is not working.
It didn't seem like working, but I think it's slow.
Okay.
It stopped and moved. I didn't see the moving it.
Mm-hmm. Can you check and make sure your SD card is plugged in all the way?
It's plugged in.
Yes.
Yeah, it's plugged in.
All right, Leah, that is strange. Can you try to unplug the power source and plug it back in? And what that will do is restart the Pi, and let's see there. Someone is asking what the noise in the background is for me. I don't have any noise in my background, so I'm not sure.
Okay. I guess it will work. I guess it worked.
Okay. All right. Well, not sure why it's being slow. If you do have another mouse that connects with a USB, definitely try that out. And it shouldn't be slow. So something's not right there, because these are brand new and they should be working pretty well. So just keep us up to date, Leah.
Yeah, thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, I'm putting everyone's hands down, and put your hand back up if you had a question, but I do have to jump off in just a minute here. Great, okay, so someone did have a question, and it's Holly. Hello, Holly.
Well, there's a red light, but there's no green light, and it seems to be working fine. Like, I can see the desktop, and I can click on things, and they open.
Interesting. Okay. What I'm thinking... Let me get back to you on that, Holly, because I don't want to misspeak and say something that's not true, but thank you for bringing me that to my attention. Your Raspberry Pi is working well, so you should not be concerned. But I'm wondering if that green light goes off when the green light is only on when you're in the no monitor mode, as in if you were sending your Raspberry Pi up into space as an experiment. And the reason I'm curious is the Raspberry Pis I'm familiar with these troubleshooting are the version 1s and not the Model 2 or the Model B. So let me talk to Mr. Duvik about that, and I'll get back to you. And sorry I don't have a better answer than that. Celeste says the same thing, Holly, so I think that is the case. All right, everybody. I know today was a little bit slow going, but hopefully, definitely practice putting your Raspberry Pi together and taking it apart between now and Monday. Someone says that they checked out the first HTML page. You should definitely put the link on Edmodo, but you need to post it as a file. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you all Monday.